This is the new Navan S30. Now, if you haven't heard of the Navan name before, that is because they are a new brand and they were created by the Brunswick Group, one of the world's largest marine corporations who own, amongst other things, Bayliner, Sea Ray, Boston Whaler and Mercury engines. So you won't be surprised to see that this is powered by a pair of Mercury outboards. Now, the reason that they created this brand is that they probably didn't escape their notice that adventure boats, those sort of walk-around style boats from Axopar and Saxtor and the like, have had a lot of success. Now, they were, relatively speaking, a little bit late to the party, but the advantage of being late to the party is that you can see what others have done, learn from everything that they've created and try to go one better. And I have to say that at first sight, this looks very promising indeed. Now, so far, they have only created one hull. It is a 33-foot hull, but they have created two versions of the boat. There is this open one, the Navan S30, with prices starting from about £134,000 ex VAT. And then there is a fully enclosed C30 wheelhouse model. Now, you can see a full tour of that on my previous video, but we are going to concentrate on this, the open boat, because this is the first chance we've had to do a full sea trial. My name is Hugo Andre, you're watching Motorboat and Yachting. Let's go boating. Let's start with the engine options then, because there's a broad range. So the starting engine is a single 300 horsepower. You can then push that up to a 400 horsepower single, and then you go into the twins, starting with a pair of 200s and going all the way up to these bad boy 300 horsepower V8s, and they have a lot of poke. Now, the base boat is relatively Spartan, and a lot of the things you can see on board this are in fact options, and I'll talk you through some of those as we go. For instance, this water sports arch here is an option, but you've got a nice tall tow hook there, so the line will go over the engines. Also gives you a great tow and a bit of extra height when you're on a wakeboard or a monoski. This decking is optional. Lots of good functionality as well. We've got a pair of draining lockers at the back here. They're a little bit fiddly to pick up. You've got to get your fingers on, but nice draining lockers on both sides. There is a boarding ladder on that side. We've also got shore power fitted to this, and you can see we've got a couple of inlets down there. Coming forward, we've got very simple gates, but effective. So you've got a certain amount of security if you want to shut them out. Really good, comfortable bench here. Love the fact that they all have these little side armrests with a cup holder, and then a really good versatile table system here. You can see I've got it folded up. All these pull out and they all tuck away under this seat. In fact, I'll show you very briefly. We've got a big locker under here, really handy for storing all the kit. And this is where the table and some of the legs go if you need to, but you've got plenty of spare space too for covers and the like. But that there is the cover for the table top. Now, this has got the optional teak table, looks very smart, but I love the fact that it's really convertible in terms of size. So flips over like this, that then goes onto that leg there, then opens up, and you've got a really good sized table. It also sinks all the way down, and you can make this up into a sunbed. But what I wanted to show you is just how clever it looks once you move the other seat. So this big seat here, you can see we've got in the forward facing position exactly how you want it when you are underway. And in fact, I'll just demonstrate that because it's quite a nice tall seat. But again, you've got armrests down both sides, room for 3 or 4 people. This boat is in fact classed up to 12 people, so you can get a good number of people on board. We've also got footrests because it is quite tall, so nice comfortable seating position here. But the reason it's quite so tall is that if I come back here, press a little button under here, that unlocks the whole seat. It then folds over like this, and then you've got really nice sociable back-to-back seating. So you can have 2 or 3 sitting on this side, 3 or 4 on that side, and you've got a really nice dinette for eating out in the open air. But I love the fact that that is so versatile, so flexible. Oh, there we go, lift it up, fold it up, and that can all tuck away under there. Couple of good lockers under here too. Got a big locker either side down here, plenty of space for ropes. The other thing that I should point out is on each side we've got these special recesses for fenders. So you've got 3 of those each side, very neatly tucked away. So some really good thought has gone into this. And the other reason it's so tall, if I fold this over, again, is that on this side we've got a full wet bar. Now, as standard is literally just a plain moulding. You can then upgrade it with some of the features you can see here. We've got twin sinks, they are optional. We have got a Wallace diesel hob. You can also have an electric one with an inverter and a battery bank if you want. We've got twin fridges under here. Again, optional extras. So you can kind of spend as much or as little as you want, but it's great to have all these optional features. Like the fact that there's a grab rail on there, so if you are preparing your food, you've still got somewhere to steady yourself. Big locker under here. This is access to the tanks. We've got freshwater tanks. We've also got a black water tank. More storage behind both of these seats. And these helm seats will in fact swivel round again, so you can have this more sort of sociable arrangement with everybody facing aft. One of the big options though is this T-top. Now, you can have a completely open boat, you can have the full cabin boat, but I think this is a really good compromise. Very nice, sturdy mountings for it. And then we have 4 skylights up above, as well as these rod holders, the little rocket launchers we sometimes call them. But what I like about it, often these are a little bit flexible and wobbling, not this one. Really good and solid. And in fact, the whole build quality of this boat, I'm super impressed by. It feels sturdy, high quality, really good moldings, both sides of the locker lids and so on. Just a nice, sturdy design. Let's go and have a little look at the foredeck now. A couple of things to point out on the way up. There's a step along this side deck, but there's always something to hang on to. So either you've got these big sturdy supports or there's a little lip under here. Also got some very smart pop-up cleats. These are in fact an option, but you would get fixed cleats as standard, but they just look a little bit slicker. Love the fact that we've also got these sort of black powder coated rails. Gives a slightly more sort of adventure-y modern vibe. Good walk around decks all the way. Just enough, decent height of the bulwarks. Not a lot of protection in terms of coming up to waist height, but you do feel your feet are nice and secure, and these low rails give you something to hang on to if you need it. We've got an optional light set into the forward end of that hardtop, and then a lovely sunbed area here. Looks like we got pop-up headrests, really nice, so you can set the angle whatever you want. Use them as back supports or push them all the way down. And some good detail on the upholstery here, just little elements like this diamond stitching here and the black piping along here. Adds a little bit of class to the whole thing. Moving forward to the bow area. Got 2 more of these pop-up cleats on either side of the bow. Very smart little pair of navigation lights. Optional pulpit going out over the anchor system. That's all tucked away under here. Got an electric windlass and an anchor that projects out under that platform. But I like the fact you've got a little step off there, particularly in Scandinavia and so on, where they tend to more bow into little islands. Gives a nice, easy step through. Right, let's go and take a look down below. So sliding smoked frosted door, giving access down to the cabin, and then a little bit of a drop down. But as within the cockpit, once you get here, the quality is impressively high. Got a good standard of finish. We've got these lovely hull windows along here. Curtains, I think they're another option. And lots of handy little storage areas. There's a big one in here. Plenty of space for all manner of things. We've got a little recess under here too. And then if you lift up the cushions, there is more storage under here and access to the bow thruster if you have one fitted. Yet another option. Fit out down here is really good though. We've got some Attractive wood finishing here. We've got a nice little bit of recessed LED lighting and a soft touch panel up here. Got a hatch here that'll let more sunlight through. We've got the cushions on, but we've got a mosquito screen there. Some more lighting under here, and even some little reading lights right up in the bow area. So nice standard of finish, good quality upholstery, comfortable mattress, and most importantly of all, a proper heads compartment. Standing room clearly only here at the entrance, but natural enough to sit down on the heads itself. There is a sink, there is a pull-out shower, and there is hot water fitted to it. Again, that is an optional extra, but it does mean it's a full weekender and a proper shower room, as well as somewhere to use the heads itself. Nice to see that we've got little opening hatch, we've got skylight overhead, and there's even a little light in the corner there. So you have got full weekending facilities. I really like the way this helm station has been laid out. We've got really good adjustability on the seats. They slide backwards and forwards. They also swivel, and they've got bolsters. So there's plenty of room to stand here. I've got a good view out, get the full wind in the hair experience. There's a nice little gap between the sun top and the windscreen. I've also got the option to bolster it, as I have here, and that gives you a slightly more laid back driving position. I would say the only thing about this is that this windscreen frame here is just about on the horizon for someone of my height, about 6 foot, which is a little bit frustrating because you always like to be able to see the horizon. But then you have got the option to put the seat all the way down, and at this height we've got the wind going above my head, so you've got full protection from this wraparound screen. In terms of the helm itself, I like the fact that the throttle is on a little plinth, bringing it a little bit closer to me, so really comfortable ergonomics. We've got a lot of options fitted to this one. We've got the bow thruster, we've got the zip wake automatic trim tabs, Simrad VHF, and the twin Simrad 12-inch screens. Also got a really nice balance between physical switches and digital ones. So I've got physical switches here for the anchor, the horn, the bilge pump, the nav lights and so on, and then full digital switchgear through this system here. If I switch to the, where we go, Navan, so it has its own switchgear system here. I can see all the lights. I've got the pumps setting here. I can go to lighting, switch all the lights on and off, or of course you can have it on chart or depth gauge or whatever you choose. So nice balance between digital and physical switches. But I think the time has come now to see how it actually performs. One of the things to know about the Navan hull is that it is a twin step hull. And what I mean by that is it's got these two steps halfway down the hull which draw air in at the side, and that creates like a little curtain of bubbles under the hull, which should make it run more efficiently and a little bit quicker. The other thing it does is that it tends to ride a little bit flatter than most hulls. Now, the only downside of steps is that sometimes if you go into a corner too hard and too fast, particularly with the engines raised, it can slip a bit. So it'll be interesting to see how it performs. We've got a decent bit of chop. There's a nice breeze. We're running with it at the moment. Let's see how it goes. Oh, there's a lot of thrust from those twin V8 engines. Straight away, we're up to 20 knots. Now we're at 26. 30. Let's go all the way, see what kind of speed we get. Oh my goodness. 36. 40. Whoa. 50 knots, absolutely creaming over the waves. 51, 52. Wow. I'm just going to slow down a little bit for the camera as much as anything else. But that is really strong performance, and just as I hoped, it runs very nice and flat. Now, in terms of efficiency, we're still doing 30 knots, just goes to show how powerful those engines are. But at 3,500 RPM, doing 30 knots and burning just over 60 litres an hour, which, given the performance on tap, is not too bad. I've done the sums, And from the 400 litre fuel tank, that should give a range of about 150 miles. But there is so much in reserve. Just look how quickly it picks up from 30 knots. Whoa! Straight away. 35, 40, 45, 50. That's just how quick it is. Really impressive and feels good and solid. And that lovely flat ride means that the bow is nice and deeply immersed, cuts through the chop that we've got here. Let's see how it performs in a turn. We'll try, well, we're still doing 40 knots, so let's see if it can take a hard turn at this speed. Okay. So that does just go to show, if you turn really quickly at sort of 40 plus knots, you do start to get a little bit of a slip. And that probably is just because the hull is ventilating a little bit. It was nothing too scary, it didn't flip completely, but because of the chop and that lift, you do get a little bit of slip. Let's try at slightly slower speed. Now we're running into the wind. This will be a good test of that deep V. Got a nice bit of chop. We're doing 30 knots. Those automatic trim tabs are doing a really good job of keeping us nicely balanced with the breeze, and we've got auto trim on the legs themselves. But feels really good and solid again. Not slamming. At this kind of speed, it's really solid. Okay, let's try a turn to starboard. We'll take it down to 30 knots. Turn a little bit slower. Ah, that's more like it. So that's a nice steady turn. We've got a nice bit of lean, no slip at all at this speed. And it gives the trim a little bit of a chance to catch up. I think because we turned so fast, so quickly, the trim probably had the engines up a bit, and that led to some of that slippage. Try the same to port. To complete the full circle. Nice and tight. It's also impressive to see it staying dry in these conditions. We've got quite a bit of chop going on. And even though we're kicking about a fair amount of spray, none of that is coming on board. You've got such a wide range of cruising speeds. It'll plane all the way from kind of 15, 16 knots, very, very comfortable cruising at 30 knots, and then you've still got all that punch to go flat out at speeds up to 50 knots. So massive cruising range, really solid performance, probably be a really good water sports boat too. But let's just see at 25 knots what it's burning. So 25 knots equates to about 3,500 RPM, and at this speed, yeah, we're still doing around about 60 litres per hour. So there's not a lot of penalty to pay if you're going anywhere between about 20 and 35 knots. It's all much of a muchness. Ease it up again, let's go a little bit quicker. Do a run at 40 knots. So 40 knots, we're now burning about 125 litres an hour, but then we're covering ground really, really quickly, and it feels so comfortable at this speed. It's just a fast canter for a boat like this. Try a turn to starboard, a little bit flatter here. And at 40 knots, so long as you don't turn too quickly, it'll track around really nicely. So there we go. Really interesting boat to drive. It feels so quick, so composed. It's got a lovely ride, particularly on this kind of Solent chop where we've probably got waves of probably 2, maybe sort of 2.5 foot at most. But the hull works beautifully in that. It feels very composed, cuts very cleanly through it, and that huge range of cruising speeds, it just gives such immense confidence. So the only thing you need to be a little bit careful of is to not turn too quickly too fast, particularly when you've got the engines trimmed up. But in any kind of normal behavior, I'm going to extremes because I'm a tester. It's what we do. We try and push it beyond the limit. But as a cruising boat or a water sports boat and a really all-round entertaining boat, it's got a massive range of versatility and feels so solid and so well honed. Really impressed by the way this boat drives. When I first started this test, I was wondering whether there was space for yet another of these adventure boats. There are so many different brands doing this kind of thing. But you know what? Having driven it and had a good play with it, I think there definitely is. Now, admittedly, there are quite a lot of options fitted to this boat, and it's those options that really help it stand out from the crowd. All up, this particular boat comes to £250,000, including VAT. But having driven it, now I know what the hull is capable of, how much performance those two big engines deliver, and all the lovely little touches. It really does feel like something quite special. If you're looking for a boat with serious performance and some top quality fit and finishing, this might be the one.